picked out a great rack as well, having Orleans, reloans, loaners, and of course 1,000,008s through everything that Nigel's about to give him. But
Nigel's now looking at
contemplating Sialoid. Interestingly, on Quackle Simulation currently, Sialoid is winning instead of Leonoid.
Nigel is sitting there, his face in his hands, doing the simulation in his head, as he does.
How do I do that?
But yeah, these two players have quite the history, in the recent history at least. They played many times at the Causeway Challenge this year, and at one point David Eldar beat Nigel 4 games in a row, and then Nigel came back and beat David 5 games in a row. Many of those games were broadcast from that tournament, and they were really fascinating things to watch.
So Nigel has indeed opted for the Quackle top-sibbing Sialoid, which wouldn't have been instinctively my play, but it's only coming out slightly ahead. It's 0.5% win percentage better. Of course, David has smacked down Eldar immediately.
So yeah, something when I played David in the quarterfinals in the 2014 Worlds, one thing I noticed, he's usually pretty laid back and sort of in a zone, but when he was playing in the quarterfinals, he was kind of extra hyper, and so that's something to watch, to see if he can keep his focus.
Well, he's drawn the other blank. Also, having played him earlier this tournament, I know that David, from the very first move, was a little bit dour and seemed to be very much, I could tell that he was actually quite on tilt during our game. So it'll be interesting to see if he can just keep calm, and that's something that's super important here.
Yeah, I mean, of all of the players in the event, or most of them, David is clearly one of the most familiar faces to sit across from Nigel. So the Nigel mystique that they say that tends to gift Nigel a couple wins every tournament, just because his opponents are in awe of playing the greatest to ever play the game. That's not a thing I think that David Eldar will fall victim to.
No, absolutely. I think he keeps good equilibrium depending on who he's playing. Obvious options we've got here. I mean, Nigel's already got Kazi lined up, which is simming best on Quackle, and it's 2% win clear of Zoea in the same position, so that's A12.
Right. And what he's...
However,
he's...
Wow. He's played Oka, setting up the Z.
Yeah, setting up Miz and Zoes for 65.
That's so...
Nigel.
That's a Nigel play.
It's a very Nigel play.
Now that I've included Oka, it's immediately shot to the top.
So, this is... the sort of thing that has made Nigel who he is, the sort of play. And, will David play something like Veg or whatever to block the spot for the Z?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the thing, because Nigel's known for these kinds of things.
Yes.
Sometimes I think it gives away a little bit of what he's got in his rack. In my second game against him, which I won, I pretty much worked out that he had the Z just by the way that he was playing, so I was able to play against that. But it depends how much you read into it. I mean, Oka just could be a clunky rack. He may have kept another O, another A. Its score is...
Yeah, and I mean, we have seen instances where Nigel would make a play like Oka, not holding the Z, to try and goad his opponent into overreacting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, or to set up the Z that he was about to draw, as
famously
happened in one of the games in Prague. Yeah, there was a situation in Prague in the 2013 finals.
Yes.
where he made an inference that Gomon did not have the X, and so he made a play that set up the huge X spot beautifully, and then immediately drew the X.
Yes.
So that's what makes Nigel extra difficult. Sometimes you can sniff out the openings he's trying to create, and you'll have a hard time blocking them when he does them well. And sometimes he makes a play like Oka to throw you off. In this case, though, he actually has the goods.
I think it's what Nigel does well, which a lot of players don't, is he invests in the future. I think we tend to like to take the points while we know we've got them on our rack. David's opted for veg there, which is probably the best in terms of bingo keep, but Quackle prefers begad through the A.
Yeah.
Which I have to say I quite like as well, just because it keeps the score ticking over.
And also that B was perhaps a little problematic, and he's drawn FH to that.
Okay, well, surprise.
Surprise. Nigel knows.
Yeah, Miz blows everything else out of the water, but it does leave the risk of a bad rack with David having kept. Actually, Quackle has almost guessed David's rack correctly. Unfortunately, I had him as a better rack than he's got. But.
So, another. David's going to have to deal with the FHB combination here. That's the main idea for this rack. There's that A that's open through Alarions is going to be a good place to score while dealing with these things. You could do something like Beth across and actually score quite a bit.
Yeah.
The nice thing about Beth as well is he's not keeping any vowels, so it creates the only floating vowel on the board. So it gives him an opportunity to maximise his next play. Of course, we know that Nigel's sitting there with all the ease that David would like to see right now.
Yeah, I mean, probably the only drawback of Beth is it does shut down the lane that he opened with veg, which is a spot for a 7 with the A or the O hook. But the score is probably pretty close to the top of what you're going to score in this position.
It's early days in running the simulation, but actually Halfdid has leapt up as well. And Halfdid would leave Nigel in an interesting situation, because obviously Nigel's got all single pointers. Would he jump to block it by playing something like Diene?
Yeah, that does seem a good option. Just turn over a bunch of things and
he's going for Halfdid. Yes,
Halfdid is going down. And Halfdid, if you look, Halfdid actually forks the board nicely. There's now the down C column, there's a beautiful lane for an S-ending bingo, and David holding the blank, and plus it opens up rows 14 and 15 for 8s horizontally. So it's a good play to shape the geometry of the board in a way that will hopefully allow him to bingo with his blank very soon.
So has David actually played Halfdid?
Yeah, I don't know if he's hit his clock. He's got a very puzzled look on his face.
He's staring longingly into Nigel's eyes, trying to work out if Nigel has a 9 timer. You can't see what Nigel's doing right now with his left hand, but I assume it's not very polite.
No.
And there goes the clock.
And yes,
it's the right
has
play.
been hit. Yes.
Now Nigel is sitting on 4 E's.
Couple current scores, just for people who are following along: Nigel Richards 159, David Eldar 127. So David 32 behind.
Who is Busker 221?
Oh, David is not so good with the drawing today.
Mm-hmm. Or at least not so far. And Nigel has played...
playing EINE, which kills the opening.
Mm-hmm.
Quackle prefers either C12, just playing EE, where Nigel's played, or playing Lee from E11, making Feg.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, Nigel just keeps drawing out E's, so it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there is a potential of, if something will fit just right, the potential for a big score down column B. That B10 to B14 spot would be an interesting one to hit. And there's B column also can fit bingos ending in D, R, so it sort of blocks the 9 timer and blocks the 8s through rows 14 and 15, but still does leave B column open. The great thing about opening B column is that it's a weak bingo lane. It doesn't double the word, and also it'll leave comebacks on A column for Nigel. So opening the next to last lane rows or next to last columns on the board is often a good place if you can't block everything. Sort of shunt your opponent's bingos into a lane where they score less, and where the placement of their bingo will give you the maximum comeback, and that's what that sort of opening in the B column does.
David has opted to exchange everything except N blank, so BBJLV. It's actually coming a close second at the moment. Oh, no, it's just been overtaken. Okay, fine, so it's now top. Yeah. Exchange keep BL blank actually was featuring very, very strongly in that.
Yeah. Probably for Able.
Yeah, BL has a lot of good synergy, so...
Possibly, even for 9 timers through the ED.
And in fact, his pickup, is there anything now through the ED?
I can see him taking quite some time to have a look for it.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're faced with a position like this, especially in a big game that's being annotated, you sort of want to find the spectacular play, and so you'll take a few minutes to look for it.
Well, he does.
Hopefully, when you hit the 9 timer through through 2 letters, and the balloons fall from the ceiling and the confetti cannons go off, that's always the.
We've both had that sort of
great
situation come up, or not come up, as it may be, but he does have remotion. No. Well, I was about to say that it's not a double-double, but he will score something significant this next turn.
Yeah, he's definitely going to play some bonus on his next turn. There's all over the board. He has things that go.
Nigel's playing.
Nigel plays,
Emu for 6.
Desperately trying to balance.
Yes.
And the HEES is actually going to be pretty strong. If he doesn't draw bingo stuff, then definitely the H will be a good tile to score with. So David should take the lead with the bonus he's about to play, but we'll see. Nigel will definitely have things back. And to be the spoiler, there is no 9 timer through ED, so it's the sort of thing where you definitely would burn a couple minutes looking just in case. But such a search will sadly be fruitless. So yeah, after playing a bonus, David's going to go up. He's down by 60 right now, so he'll go up by a few points. We would consider that Nigel would be a tempo ahead. That is his next play. He'll take the lead. The scores will basically be level. So after the trading blank bingos, and Dave traded the double for Nigel's big Z play. So it basically will be exactly where we were at the start, with Nigel with the turn advantage after the bonus goes down. David has Norteno lined up on his rack.
Head of Norteno is en route's currently in the same position. I assume just because it doesn't leave the S.
Yeah, up top of Emu.
It's looking like he's going to play Norteno.
No, he's come back to en route.
No, he's not. He's playing with our minds. Yeah, I think en route has to be the better play.
Yes.
And it is marginal. It's 0.25 win percentage, but every 0.25 counts against Nigel.
Yep.
Cunningly setting up the J that he's just changed.
And there it is.
Nigel's got a very high score of Baha'is across the top of en routes for 50.
Nigel always seems to have this look on his face, like, yeah, sure, you do what you want. We'll just see how this turns out.
Okay.
The sort of eternally skeptical look, no matter what you play.
Yes.
And we can see it on the feed. Just one hand on his forehead. All right, that's 50 points.
Yeah. Oh, Dave's got Coggles, which I'm going to put into Quackle, but I assume that playing Coggles in the only place Coggles goes must be the play. Actually, no, there are two places. It goes down onto the H or across onto the EE, but.
A good break for David,
and Nigel has UW.
Yeah, Nigel has hit a bump in the road here.
So, Coggles very, very quick. 79 points, 10 points more than the other. I think it has to be the play. David takes a 39-point lead. 2, 3, 8.
All right, so Nigel has some struggles with this rack. It's unbalanced, and there's the WU anti-synergy. So there's a couple of thorny problems as David sits on tramway. Doesn't look like the tramway plays.
Currently it doesn't.
But
Nigel's looking at playing OWE, I'm assuming underneath en routes.
Yeah, and that sort of rack from Nigel is the sort of one where there are so many problems with it that you have to deal with one problem at a time. He plays off the W and scores and keeps a pretty weak leave, vowel heavy with the U, but you have to do one thing at a time and then go on the journey to improve it, and play something that can be salvaged by a good pickup.
And it's a decent pickup. It's a pretty decent pickup there. So
he has playable Oracle. which goes down the side of Hafted.
Yes.
David's got a few interesting options as well. He's got Tway across the top of Bahayas now for 45, keeping Ram. Obviously combines nicely with the C. He has Cartway down from the C, which is the highest scoring play for 48. Of course, neither of which would block Oracle.
And the chat has pointed out that Nigel has a 9-timer in French. So that's another possibility that could
go down.
Could go down.
Yes, and
I love the fact they both have their bingos just lined up on their racks.
Yes.
It really removes the mystery for those of you watching at home. Can you find the bonus that each person holds?
So of the candidate plays currently, Tway is simulating about 2.5% win better. I think I would agree with that.
Yeah, that it looks like up top it could turn into a fairly dangerous spot. So it seems reasonable to take that spot out. There's lots of stuff out that can hit it pretty hard.
You've got the B, you've got the C, you've got the F, P, and anything started, with the OO in the middle, or OA, OI, anything like that across the top will, could score 50 easily. So it's worthwhile to neutralize that spot, and it's probably more dangerous than even the C in second position of a 9-timer. A 9-timer would end the game, but it's going to be a lot less likely than something at this L1 spot. So the expected damage your opponent would do is going to be higher in the spot that's far more likely to be played in. Yeah. Unsurprisingly, Oracle is top of the sim by far. He says without pressing the sim button, but you would expect Nigel to play it very quickly. Makes a game of it. David is now David is 14 points adrift currently, but has a very interesting rack.
Certainly.
Now, these are the kinds of situations where Nigel, I think, would default to thinking, where can I set up this X for 90 next move?
There's no obvious X spots. So one thing always to think about in a position, especially a position like this with a power tile, you want to make a play that increases the value of the tiles that you leave, if at all possible.
So he's gone for something very quick.
David's gone for Amir here, and I wouldn't have thought it was an obvious play, but actually it is topping the sim. And it's probably the highest score that was available.
Well, there was axed in the lower left, however,
but the key
2 eyes.
Horrendous,
Yeah, so that's probably the best equity play. And the opening it creates at A column is a bit awkward, at least as far as bonusing is concerned. There, it would have to start.
Just voted.
It would have to start with the C and hook, but boated is going to score.
He's played botted.
Botted.
Yeah. probably better because there's only one A unseen.
Mm-hmm.
As David has a very nice and versatile rack.
Mm-hmm. thing that I see immediately is Ixnay out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be.
Ixnay plays at K12.
Yeah, and that's
it's a big score.
Yeah, it's a big score. It's it puts the X on the colored square, so it'd be difficult to score off of the X.
Yes.
Subsequently.
It does open up the O column, at least as I'm seeing it, but
yeah.
I mean, looking at what's left to come, A, E, I, U, U, but then F, J, N, N, P, Q, R, R, S, T, V. So actually, it's not a great selection of tiles left if Nigel doesn't have an A or an E. Interestingly, Sim is putting Howdy off the H-A-W at the top at the moment. And Ixnay, sadly, is about 10% behind that.
Yeah.
I think because of the added volatility.
Yeah, even though the pool isn't very bingo prone, there's a lot of heavy stuff in it, and if you put the Y at the O12 square, then you could hit a J play into the Y or something for like 50, 60 points.
And David has the backup of the E5 X spot anyway, which is unlikely to be taken.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we have a couple updates from the other quarterfinal matches. We have Harshan is 149 over Mark Nyman 127 early in the game, and Harshan has just played another bonus, I guess, so he's up solidly by a bonus. Gautam, his game with Neil is a little further along. He's on 447. Neil is on 261, and Neil just played a bonus himself. It sounds like that first match is just about wrapping up, based on the scores at least. So Gautam will be taking an early lead in that series. No word yet on the Austin Shin Ellie Dangoor match, which we will be bringing you the second match of in the next round of the commentary.
I think it's right that David's taking a long time over this. This is the kind of move that can be game changing. I mean, going through his head, he's going to be thinking about mitigating as much risk as possible while keeping his own scoring power. Time-wise, David's down to 5.5 minutes, just coming up to 5.5 minutes. And he's playing Ixnay. Interesting.
He's playing Ixnay. Yeah, there is volatility there.
It's tempting for the score. I mean, it's certainly the best score, but I think in this situation, given that there are so few vowels out as well, leaving one out for your opponent, not necessarily a good idea. So David in a 20-point lead now, but obviously Nigel has scoring potential. He's certainly got jabs for 60, which, with David being 40 points in the hole well actually he's got the F for Half now, so he could play something fairly painful up at the top.
Yeah, Urf or something would go and score quite a bit. In the game with Mark and Harshan, there's fewer than half the tiles are on the board, and Mark has below 6 minutes remaining. So he is playing at his normal pace.
Yes.
We haven't had the score update from Austin's game, but he did play Evictees for 98. So at least the bit of news that we have from the other playing room is happy for Austin Shin, whose scoring has not yet stopped.
I've played Mark 3 times in this tournament, and only once did he not go over on his clock.
He is a very deliberate player.
Interestingly, Topping Sim at the moment is not taking the points for Japs. Topping the Sim is playing Jorp at N11, setting up the S. It's topping it by a fair amount, actually. It's 2.9% win ahead of Japs. I suppose keeping the UU, you are screwing yourself.
That's pretty interesting. And Nigel's holding the case S, so that setup is unlikely to be. It could be blocked, but it's unlikely to be hit hard by David, no matter what he has with 3 mice and 2 blanks on the board.
Of course, Nigel needs to be worried, though, in expending... I mean, the other benefit of Jorp, as well as keeping the U to go with the Q in case you get it, you'll need another vowel, because Qs eat vowels. So keeping A and S... If he picks the Q, which we know he probably will...
Yes.
It should put him in a reasonable situation. So there's 11 unseen tiles as well, from Nigel's point of view. So 4 in the bag. So Jorp would also leave 1 in the bag.
Right.
There's no O's in the pool, and Nigel has the case A, so there's no risk of anything coming down paralleling the J on O column, given either play Jop or Jop.
So right now, I think if Nigel were to play Japs, David would play Frit and something, Frit and Half, and would probably win on. Actually, he wouldn't play Frit because then Nigel would have Sook. Basically, if Nigel would play Japs, we'd expect David to win by virtue of the F that he's now drawn.
What is he?
Nigel's in the house.
Nigel does a Nigel thing and makes the play that forces David to make a response.
I put Yup into the sim. It's gone immediately to the top by a margin of about 7%.
I think there's a...
But he's left the queue.
He's left the queue.
Wow.
Yeah.
This becomes interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Nigel has 10 minutes on his clock. We can't quite see what David's clock. Oh, David has
a little less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, it looks like he's under 5 minutes. So this suddenly turned into quite a complicated position.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be David's gonna be trying to think quickly to deal with this wrench that Nigel has thrown at him.
And unfortunately, I think Quackle's going to be very useful because it's not going to be doing anything intelligent with this. It's suggesting an 80% win for Fret, but we know that's not going to be the case. And in fact...
I mean, you can probably infer Nigel the S in the sim. You've got to imagine Nigel has the J or the Q. Yeah. And all of the win percentages start dropping.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is... If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball, they say. But I don't know if David can dodge this wrench. It's been...
So there are two in the bag, aren't there? So
yeah.
They're 2 in the bag.
There are 2 in the bag.
Huh.
So he could.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like he is just looking to maybe play house.
I don't know. Is there a sequence where if David does make a play up top and Nigel plays Jans and draws the cue?
Well,
no. If David makes a play up top, he'll draw the cue.
It's been mentioned that
He
because
fret.
he has the V, which is also a problem, he's
Yeah.
probably going to play Vans, and then
yeah.
John does play at 13I. So though there is potentially a problem though if he does draw the cue.
Yeah. He
I
just
think
drops the F.
If he just drops the F for Hauf, he's
Yeah.
a coin flip here.
Which is simming top.
Yeah, if he can avoid the cue. Oh, which he did.
Oh,
he did.
The cue is in the bag.
Wow.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Wow.
It's a beautiful draw.
So wow.
So Nigel's going to be Q stuck? No, the Q can go out in 2 places because he'll have the U for quart and he'll have the QI over
But
near.
he'll also have the J, so
yes,
he's going to eat one of them.
This is going to.
Because, David could certainly go out in 2. But does it...
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Because.
If you're gonna eat something anyway, would you just take the score and play Jans up front? I mean, you might end up V stuck, but would that be better than eating the J?
So the sim is suggesting that Jans actually has a 77% chance of winning. I guess that's
What if
assuming.
There's only one in the bag.
What if he has championship player that should solve it?
Yes.
There you go. Oh. My laptop too. Oh, no, it's saying Vans.
So you have Vans and
75.
But it doesn't, and it doesn't know the cues in the bag. That might be one of the losses,
Yeah.
since it's a pretty stark tile. Or it might be playing that David has an out bingo with one of the tiles on Nigel's rack. Yeah, like if he had pirated or something. Or, I don't know. Well, no, because the unseen pool to Nigel is David's rack plus the cue.
Yeah. Trip red Q. And Nigel is obviously 38 down as well, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, Vans is going to be quite a lot of score, but...
So, wow, Nigel is pondering, considering running his personal championship player. He's got his head in his hands. He's poring over the board. What a game to start our day. This is.
It's also possible that Nigel's now thinking about what he's going to have in his sandwich for lunch.
Who knows?
That's very possible. That's very possible.
He's already solved the game. He just now needs to think about other things to keep him engaged.
Right. Should I get the chicken or should I get the vegetable curry just to perpetuate the rumor that I'm a vegetarian? He's
or am I just going to go out for some Pringles? Because,
go biking by the river. So Nigel is under 7 minutes now. So he has plenty of time to calculate
Andrew
through.
Fisher has just noted that David Eldar has pre-dried as a 9-timer through that ED.
Yes.
So if he sees that, this is pretty much academic as to what Nigel does.
Wow, that's incredible.
That would be,
That was... Wow.
So...
That's
Wonder if-
amazing.
You have to wonder how Van's such a high percentage then. I mean,
Well, I mean, it's solving that each of them is most probable in the bag, so it's going to lose to the Q in the bag, and it's going to lose to something else in the bag. Probably the other one that has probably the T, right? It loses to QT in the bag because he has pre-dried.
Yes.
And same thing, Zhu is 75%. It'll lose to QT in the bag. So, wow. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, did David, you know, make the fish for pre-dried? I would think so. Player of his caliber is gonna notice something like that.
Thing is, moves like that are very easy to, or not very easy to see, but they're easier to see when you're not in the game. I think when you're in the game and you're focusing, and all of the action is the bottom right quadrant now, and around whether the Q is in the bag and whether the J is in the bag, you go into defense mode. You go into Q stick mode. You're not thinking about a 9 timer through 2 tiles.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're not thinking of playing in the upper right quadrant to fish for a 9 timer in the lower left.
Yeah.
So Vans has gone down. That's the winningest move that Nigel has.
Yeah.
David has 2.5 and plays
Immediately.
pre-dried
Yeah. Brilliant.
immediately.
108 points. Game over.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well,
Congratulations to David Eldar in winning this ridiculous game.
yes.
Oh my
Jesus.
goodness. That's
an amazing draw.
This is one of the most amazing games that I have had the privilege to watch. That is wonderful.
Yes. Wow.
We'll try and flag David and bring him in to speak a bit if we can after the game.
Yes.
David's showing a significant amount of emotion.
Yeah.
We're surprised.
Wow.
And so...
Wow. He can't quite believe that fish actually worked.
Yeah.
Right.
And that the sequence happened that Nigel's
showing exceptional emotion as well, right?
Yeah.
The man is distraught.
You can tell his disdain because his
Yes.
hand has moved from the top of his head to the bottom.
Yes. Nigel's not thinking, hey. Yeah, he's gone.
There it is. Qua goes down in garbage time.
Or it goes up, it goes down, it goes up and down.
And Nigel's going to lose with a 467. Wow. And David's doing his thing to find the optimal place for his last tile.
Yeah.
Which is Treff. Or Kit.
It's a little sneaking
Yeah.
down the board. I wonder
Yeah.
how Nigel probably isn't thinking about that, but
So.
ET also works.
Well, great play by both.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
I think
Incredible.
pre-dried
Yes.
was the move of that match. Really, really
Yes.
strong spot.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So next up will be the second game of Austin Shin versus Eli Dangur. Hopefully it will be a match of equal quality. So very well done for now to David Eldar. He takes a 1-0 lead against Nigel Richards in the quarterfinals of the 2017 World Championship in the best of 3.
And yeah, we'll try to get David in for a short interview if he has a couple things to say, or if he's just exhausted to sigh heavily
And grunt.
and grunt.
He likes to grunt.
Yeah, that is one of the most remarkable games I've ever seen.
Considering how much David was struggling to start
Yeah.
with, and the clunky racks, the BBJLV exchange, and it all changed on Coggles. I mean, from Coggles onwards, it went brilliantly his way.
Yeah, and when faced with that setup with Yup, you know, to
just keep your cool,
realize
and
that
just,
you have
and
to
just realize
you have
that
to
you
bet
have
this
to
game.
make-
You have to
yeah.
bet the game on this fish.
Yes.
And yeah, have that pay off. That was incredible. That's the sort of just ridiculous situation that comes up and you think it through and you have a coin flip. You know,
and sometimes it comes up your way.
Sometimes it comes up your way, yeah.